Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and this is episode 2 of In My Mind, the series where I talk about different news announcements and articles on the internet about topics that I find interesting, so let's get right into it. Now, this article today that we're looking at is about Nintendo confirms it will sell a new Switch 2 with replaceable battery in the EU. For context, the Switch 1, Switch OLED, Switch 2, all of the current Switch models do not have replaceable batteries. Now, the EU is passing legislation to make it a requirement starting in 2027 for companies that make, different technology, different devices like the Switch 2 more accessible to users. And what I mean by that is making it so that they can replace their own batteries if need be without having to go to a third party repair shop or sending the device back to the original manufacturer. So this would allow the end user like myself, say I had a Switch 2, which I don't, I have a Switch 1. Say I had a Switch 2 and I wanted to replace the battery, I could easily do so on my own without having to get other people involved. So very interesting. And yeah, let's go ahead and go through the article because it's saying that Nintendo is going to be doing this, on February 18th, 2027. That's when the EU regulation goes into effect. So Nintendo would have to have the new Switch 2 hardware ready and replacing the current Switch 2 hardware in the EU by that date. I would imagine they would just sell out of the current hardware. I don't think they would take that off the shelves. They probably just won't ship any of the current Switch 2 models to retailers in the EU between now and then, just to cut down on, retailers' inventories for that so they can kind of burn through that quickly. But it's interesting because the Switch 2 is not the only device that has to do this. This is going to be basically any device like the Switch 2 that's kind of like a handheld device or smartphone or anything like that, I believe, is going to have to follow this new regulation. So I'm very interested to see a Switch 2 with a replaceable battery, along with other devices that currently don't have that right now. So it brings up an interesting conversation of whether or not Nintendo will only do this in the EU next year, or if they will be like, hey, we have a new Switch 2 model. It's got a replaceable battery, but not just a replaceable battery, but the battery is actually bigger or something like that, just to make it seem like it's something that they had planned to do initially and not just something they're doing to follow the EU regulation. So, in my mind, Nintendo would just do this for all new Switch 2 models going forward instead of creating a separate SKU specific to the EU. I think it would benefit everyone in all the territories, and countries that sell the Switch 2. But I don't know how that would work in the US, given that there's so many third-party manufacturers that are licensed to repair Nintendo Switches and replace batteries and stuff like that. Same with like smartphones, like the iPhone. But who knows? Maybe Nintendo will actually do this globally eventually. Maybe not, when this happens in February next year, but maybe they'll make a decision to actually release this Switch 2 model across more than just the EU. Because I think that would be very beneficial to everyone. Instead of, having to send your Switch back, then you can't use your Switch 2 until it's repaired. And who knows how long that's going to take, because you have to contact Nintendo, send it back, wait for them to repair it, in whatever queue of other inquiries they have from other users who are sending their Switch 2s back, and then they would send it back to you. So you would potentially be out of a Switch 2 for probably weeks. And I think this would, make Nintendo, I guess, a little more popular, just because they have the only real handheld between the three big gaming companies, being, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. I know Xbox has the ROG Ally thing, but that's kind of like, that's just their branding on the ROG Ally, because they already have a ROG Ally from Asus, but that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, I think this is good for the EU. I wish it was something that was gonna be available globally. And honestly, any other portable or mobile device should have a replaceable battery. I would be down to replace my battery on my own if need be, and not have to send my phone back to Google as someone who uses the Pixel, like, or go to like a third party shop to repair it. I don't want to do that. So I think this is a good thing, and hopefully this kind of regulation makes its way to other countries or territories, because I think people would prefer to just buy a new battery, repair their own hardware as well, if it's not a crazy process to do so. I know some people probably just don't want to deal with the headache of doing things like replacing your display or replacing your system memory or anything like that. But the battery used to be replaceable in smartphones and other devices. So I would rather we go back to a time where we can easily do that ourselves, and just, we have like 2 or 3 batteries ready to go. And if the battery's low or is, losing charge or something like that, then we could just swap it out for another one. Yeah, Nintendo says this is going to be a new model number. So I'm interested, like I said, to see if this happens with other devices, because this Verge article is also saying that they're going to have to comply with future compliant versions will have unique model numbers. Like I said, the new Switch 2 will have a new model number. But it brings up an interesting conversation that the Verge is bringing up, about Switch 2 controllers, the Pro controller, the Joy-Cons, whether or not those will also get replaceable batteries or something like that. I feel like maybe the Pro controller could be a good candidate for that. I don't know about the Joy-Cons because they're so small already. And I feel like just kind of the smaller the device, the more likely it is you'll either lose the battery or you'll damage it yourself. A bigger device like that or a smartphone, I think makes sense. But the Joy-Cons, I don't know. I mean, they're very small, so we'll have to see. But like I said, I'm a fan of replaceable batteries. We used to have them. I remember my LG G3 with the replaceable battery. Oh, I miss that phone. That phone was so great for recording videos. But yeah, again, like, I'm a fan of this. I hope this eventually rolls out to other countries and territories, but for now, it's just coming to the EU in February of 2027. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you a fan of this? Do you think this should happen globally? Would you mind replacing your own batteries? Do you miss replaceable batteries? Because I do. I do for a lot of different things. Like the original PSP 1000, like I said, the LG G3. It was just an easier time to not have to go to a repair shop for things like that, like the battery. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you want more videos like this, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to Holo Circuits for more tech related videos. I will say that my next video is not going to be an episode of In My Mind. It is going to be a review, so stay tuned for that. That'll be live next week. And yeah, thanks for the love and support. I'll catch y'all later.